Hey, what is up guys? GuitarRock here. Welcome back to another Zenless Zone 0 video. Alright, today's video we're going to talk about the Selector that we will be getting later on in version 2.0. Who is going to be the best character to pick? Now first things first, gentle reminder, if you guys haven't pre-registered, make sure you guys do so because the pre-registration is going to give you additional 320 polychromes alongside with all of these rewards coming on in version 2.0. You're not only going to get the Selector, you're going to get W engine of your choice, W engine Selector, character, S rank Selector. You're going to get 1600 polychromes here, you're going to get some anniversary titles, and of course Boopons and encrypted master tapes. That is going to come later on. Plenty of cool things. I will have the pre-registration link in the description below, so make sure you guys, if you guys want to get the extra 320 Stellar Jets, that should be it. Now let's talk about what is going to be the best choice for players, ideally, right? So if you guys are not aware, they did mention that this is going to be the list of S-rank agents that you will be able to obtain. So I'm going to try to cover from both bases. Number one is if you're a veteran player, maybe you're looking for dupes. So hopefully give you guys an idea of what is the dupe for certain characters in terms of the stopping point. And then maybe for new players as well, because if you are new coming into the game, who should you be picking? Because there are 6 characters right here. Fortunately, I do have all 6 of them, right? So we're gonna jump straight into them and then we're gonna try to evaluate them one at a time. So first things first, I guess we go from left to right, right? We're gonna talk about the roles, etc, etc. First up, we got Grace. Now Grace is a little bit finicky and I guess she's much more complex, right? In this particular turn. I did basically build mine during the beta. I basically used her as my main character. But right now, since the game has garnered and pushed forward to version 2.0, she started to fall off a little bit, right? I never really built her in the official release of the game. I believe she was pretty decent early on as well. However, she is going to be an electric anomaly character. So I still think she is going to be one of the better characters as a secondary DPS or off DPS, but you shouldn't use her as your main DPS, alright? So if you are trying to use her, you want to put her in an electric team, right? Alongside with the anomaly, because she's one of the better characters to try to stack the disorder, especially if you look at her skill. This is going to be her EX skill. You can see right here, she has the energy cost of 40 requirements, right? Very, very cheap for you to be able to spam the EX special attack. So that makes her for one of the better candidates to team up with Yanagi or even Miyabi, right? If you're trying to get disorder up. So those two can be decent. But again, you should not use her as a main DPS. That's going to be something to consider. Now, I feel like she's going to be decent, alright? I don't think she's that bad. However, like I mentioned, because she's not going to be your main DPS character, I don't really recommend new players to pick her, right? If you're a veteran player, you're trying to get her a little bit up, then sure, it can be good, right? Her dupes are okay. This one is not bad, right? So you can see all squad is going to gain some energy when a 4th hit of the Grace special attack hits an enemy. With the same move, this effect can grant 2 energy. So this one is not bad. But the M2, right, is going to give her a little bit extra, which is electric resistance reduced by 8.5%, which is a pretty big deal, right? And electric anomaly build resistance reduced by 8.5%. Now, this one is kind of insane if you're teaming her up with Yanagi. Now again, if you are using her with Yanagi, M2 definitely going to be a very, very good one because you're putting her in an electric team specifically. But if you're just using her as a whole, just to proc disorder, and it's not in a dedicated mono electric team, then the value of the M2 sort of falls off, right? Anything beyond this, I feel like you shouldn't try to push, right? Because it's just not that impressive because, like I mentioned, this is going to give her more damage than M6, but you mostly just use her to proc disorder to basically assist your main DPS generally, right? So I think that's where her role lies right now. So if you're picking her, make sure, I think Yanagi and Miyabi is going to be her best partner, or maybe even Vivian. I completely forgot about that, right? So she can work with Vivian as well. If you did obtain Vivian, they could both be in the same team, right? Because Vivian needs that anomaly proc from time to time to basically proc the bloom, right? So very, very good partner, but I prefer Jane Doe personally, right? If you have Jane Doe, then Jane Doe is going to be a bit better, but it's going to depend on who you're trying to team up or partner with.
Take me.
Now the next character, let's talk about the next one. That's going to be Rina right here. Now Rina, I do think that she has massive potential. And I do think that out of all the bunch, she's going to be the better recommendation. Where is mine? So as you can see, I actually did build her because she's a very strong character. She's going to be one of the best electric supporter in the game. Now she has a very unique skill in which right here you can see she has this scaling where she scales off penetration ratio, so you gotta build her a little bit different. But in terms of overall viability, I think she's very good. Right now I'm using her in my Yanagi and Miyabi team, right? I have Miyabi, Yanagi and Rina, right? So she is going to act as my support right there in that particular team. She's going to be very good to give you penetration ratio, and then you can do quick swap between the two. Alright, that's going to be what it is. Now one weakness that she has is Rina doesn't really she's not that strong at M0. So ideally it's highly advisable, recommended to get her M1. Alright, her M1 is going to give her this particular thing. Alright, so Drusilla and Anastasia, which is her skill, the Bangbu, stays for additional 5.5 seconds before returning to Rina. Right, the buff gain, alright, by characters within 10 meter, it increased by 130%. So she basically gains a bonus buffs, kind of crazy. So her M1 is probably going to be, I feel like M0 she's I wouldn't say unusable, but it's really hard to use. Once you get her up to M1, you're gonna feel the power spike in terms of her potential, right? Now as for M2, right, Rina's damage increase, again, she's a support. You don't really need M2 per se. M3 as per usual, every character just increase the skill level by 2. M4, right, energy regen. Now this one could be useful depending on what's the situation, but it is going to be a little bit expensive to push all the way high. M5 is going to be more skill increase, and M6, when EX, special attack, chain attack or ultimate hits an enemy, the entire squad's electric damage is increased by 15% for 8 seconds. Not bad, alright, 15% of electric damage boost, unless you're planning to run her in a mono electric team. For now, Yanagi is going to be the one that I can think of. Now if you do have Yanagi, then she's going to be a good pair. You can put Yanagi, Rina and maybe Vivian, right? Those are going to be one of the better electric team as well. Or you can consider putting her in, I don't think she fits as well in the Silver NB's team. I've tried before. Silver NB doesn't really don't really have extra synergy with her per se, right? Because she is going to still need, you know, like her stun is not going to be there, so ideally some other supports is going to benefit that particular team as a whole. Now Rina is someone that I highly do recommend, right? Even if you cannot get M1, getting M0 as your first one, and then like eventually you can try to spook. I would say she's going to be one of the better choices that is still relatively meta and is still, I would say, quite flexible for a lot of players to use as well, right? Because for M0, you know, the potential is not fully unlocked, but still, I think she's better than Grace in most situations. For a lot of new players starting out, you are going to be able to benefit more from her. Now let's talk about Koleda. Koleda is going to be another character that is, she is going to be a fire stunner. Where is she? I never really built mine, so it's all the way at the bottom, I believe. So she's a fire stunner. So stun characters tend to fit in the attack. You pair them with an attacker, right? As opposed to anomaly characters, Rina can pair with either attacker or anomaly, but I think she fits better in anomaly characters. Now fire stunner, where does she lie right now? Now keep in mind that in version 2.0, we got two characters coming, right? We got Yi Xuan in the first half. Second half, we got Ju Fufu, which is also going to be another fire stunner. This character right here. Now if you do intend to pull for Ju Fufu, she seems really strong, right? Then maybe you don't need Koleda as much, right? Because they both fill the same role to be able to assist your fire character overall, right, to help with the stun. Now she is probably, her best partner right now is going to be either Evelyn or Soldier 11. Now if you have either Evelyn or Soldier 11, you're trying to find a stunner to pair with them, then she is going to come in that particular area. Now I do think that she probably can also pair with Yi Xuan to a certain extent, depending. I still think the Panda is going to be better, but that one we'll find out when Yi Xuan comes out, right? But for now you can see she is going to be able to increase the days, and she can also do some decent explosion damage here and there. Here's the thing about Koleda, right? As opposed to her M, in terms of her dupes, right? Where is the stopping point for her? I feel like Koleda works decently at M 1 or 2, right? I think 2 is a good stopping point, right? So for M1, you're gonna get additional days dealt by 15% right here when you use special attack or EX special attack. Pretty good. But M2, right, Koleda's EX special attack, when she hits enemy, she recovers 60 energy. Alright, this is pretty good, right? You are going to be able to get that once in a while, every 45 seconds. And I think the M2 is going to be like a very decent, good stopping point. Anything above that, I believe, is less important, because like M4 right here, this one just gives her more damage. And then M6 also gives her more damage. Now, more damage is not bad, right? Ideally, but most of the time your DPS is going to be the one that does most of the damage. You want to focus on, for the stunner, they are there to assist or to stun the enemy so that you can swap in your DPS characters, ideally do the things, right? So also like going beyond M2 seems a little bit expensive at that point, right? You're better off investing in other teams for that particular case. Also, one more thing, right? Koleda is going to be a fire stunner, but there's one more better stunner in this particular list, right? And let's talk a little bit more about him. That's going to be Lycaon. I feel like most players should consider Lycaon instead compared to Koleda. Now let me explain why, right? Because like I mentioned, if you're not going to pull for Jufufu, then Koleda is decent, but Lycaon is the best ice stunner right now. Alright? So in terms of stun characters, right now Lycaon is still the best in slot. Whereas Koleda, she sort of already got power crept by Lighter. Alright, Lighter is going to be this character right here. Boom, another fire stunner. So we got Lighter, we got Koleda, and then we also got Jufufu that's coming in version 2.0. So they are like 3 characters. They are fire element and they are also stunners. They share the same role. You won't need more than 1 fire stunner, ideally, right? So if you got Lighter, you don't need to build Koleda. Alright, if you plan to pull Jufufu later, you don't need to pull for Koleda as well, or you don't need to build her as much, right? But if you already have a Koleda build, then you can get away with not pulling for either Lighter or Jufufu. But I think for a lot of players, I know Lighter is a bit more complex. He can also fit in Ice team, right? But Lycaon is going to be where it lies in terms of the Ice stunner, because no one competes with him, right? That's going to be where he's special. And also we got multiple different Ice teams that he can fit into. He can pair with Miyabi pretty well. He can also team up or partner with Hugo. Right now it's going to be Hugo's banner as well. He can also be there with Alan Joe. Now if you guys are not aware, Alan Joe is getting buff. That's going to be where I believe Lycaon is going to start having the prominent role as well. Now, if you don't have Lycaon yet, I would highly recommend getting him so that you can have a complete perfect Ice team. You put Lycaon, Sokaku, and Alan Joe, that's still probably going to be a sufficient enough team depending on how much buffs goes into Alan, right? But if not, Hugo can be there as well if you did pull for Hugo. Now, in terms of dupes, Lycaon's M1, EX special attack hits an enemy, the attack's days increase by 12%. This one is pretty good, right? His M1 is not bad. I would highly recommend, if you cannot afford to get the M1, this is a very substantial buff to overall his kit at a whole, right? Now M2, he will be able to get 5 energy. I guess this is decent as well, can trigger every 1 second, can also be very good if you're trying to you know, spam his stuns more often. And I think like that's pretty much how far I will go, right? M4 is going to give him a shield. Now this is good for tower content, right? Especially where survivability is going to be your main factor. But in like normal day-to-day shield defense and just deadly assault, I think you can get away with not having this. Plus, going all the way to M4, a little bit expensive for a lot of players, right? And M6 is going to give him more damage. Alright, he gets more damage, can stack this again. 1 stack can be gained per skill. Overall, is good and all, but again, Lycaon's role in a team is to stun the enemy, alright, to build the days and to stun them. It's not really to do damage as a whole. Ideally, we don't really need to focus on that for him. I do think that Lycaon, again, is a very good option. He should be the priority, again, for a lot of people who are looking to build Ice team. Maybe not now, but maybe in the future. Hopefully you can have at least 1 Ice stunner and get it out of the way, right? Unless you did pull for Lighter, then Lighter can fit both in the Fire and Ice team. Now the reason why is because you can see right here in his skill, he's able to reduce enemies' ice damage resistance by 25%. That's a lot, right? Especially you're trying to do insane amount of damage with your other DPS characters. Now alongside with that, who are the next one that I haven't talked about? So we have talked about 4 of them. Let's talk about Nekomata. Okay, so Nekomata has a lot of issues. I strongly believe she's probably going to be the weakest character out of this bunch. Now why is that, right? Now as someone that did build her and I did try to make her work, right? I think her issue lies with her kit in the restrictions of where she shines. Now, I think she can be used. She's still strong for a lot of players. You can probably get away with using her in terms of a physical DPS character. You know, she's going to be decent, right? She can have increased damage here and there, and she can also inflict assault. And one more thing is Nekomata has one of the lowest energy as well, 40 energy cost for the special attack. But a lot of the restrictions lies in her dupes, right? Let's talk a little bit more about that. So you can see her M1, right? Nekomata hits an enemy from behind, she will be able to ignore 16% of a target's physical resistance. Now this sounds good in theory, right? It sounds good, okay, you are going to be able to use your skill to hit the enemy from behind. But there are some enemies, they are going to be, they're always following you. For example, like the crane boss, where he just turns around and try to face you most of the time, it's going to be way harder for you to hit like big giant enemies from their back, right? Medium size and small size enemies, that's fine. One more thing is also like if there's too many enemies on the field, you can't really hit every enemy from the back, right? Because if you're trying to do like an AoE scenario, that's where she's going to be a little bit lacking, right? So that is going to be where her M2 is also going to be a little bit restrictive. When there's only one enemy on the field and Nekomata is in combat, her energy regenerate increased by 25%. Seems good on paper until you fight a stage where the enemies have partners, 2 enemies, 3 enemies, then you're not going to be able to benefit from this particular dupe potential, right? So that's going to be what it is. I do think that a lot of her kit suffers from, she needs to be in those restrictions or very restrictive environment to be able to benefit from, right? M4, alright, she used special attack, her crit rate increased. Now this one is fine, alright, she is going to be able to boost that. And M6, she is going to get more damage for the crit damage. And you know what, this is also going to be pretty good, but then going all the way to M6 is going to be quite expensive. Now I do think that for most players, if you can avoid not building her, that's going to be my advice until perhaps they buff her. I hope in the future the developers will consider buffing Nekomata, because I do think that she's a very interesting character to play with, right? So hopefully that's going to happen one day. Now let's talk about Soldier 11 then. Now if you have to pick between one character and you want a DPS character, right? I recommend Soldier 11, right? Over Nekomata. Nekomata is a physical attacker, whereas Soldier 11 is a fire attacker. Now Soldier 11 pairs pretty well with Koleda, alright? If you already have one or the other, you can consider to pick her up, right? Also can pair with Lighter as well, right? And of course, the truth is, fire attacker, if you intend to pull for Jufufu, can also benefit Soldier 11. Now Soldier 11 is going to be one of the few characters that can benefit a lot from the Mindscape, alright? So right now you can see her M1, alright? Her energy is less than 40, she gets 80 energy. This is very, very good. You are going to be able to benefit from that extra energy that she has. Her M2, alright, when triggering fire suppression, basic attack, dash attack, and dodge counter damage increase by 3% and can stack up to 12 stacks. Very, very insane, alright? This is like a lot of damage boost for her. So if you can get her up to M2, because she is a DPS after all, she's an attacker, so she will need those extra damage. Now the M4, you can see again, she will be able to obtain additional stuff right here, 18% damage, right? Anti-interrupt level increase, and damage received is reduced. So that's going to be what is considered here. I guess the M4 is not that crazy, but I believe her M6 is going to be where this is insane, alright? If you can get her up to M6, now again, super expensive. Unless you've been playing since day one, you probably won't have that many Soldier 11 dupes, right? But some of you guys may have, depending if you constantly just get her. You are going to be able to get 8 stacks of charge, and when fire suppression is triggered, 1 stack of charge is consumed, causing the current move to ignore 25% of the target's fire resistance. Alright, so that is going to be a lot, and you can stack I believe, with other characters that can reduce fire rest as well. Now, all in all, these are going to be what it is. Now, if you have no idea who to pick, right, it's going to depend on which characters you have, right? Like I mentioned, if you're trying to build an ice team, I recommend Lycaon, right? If you're trying to build, let's say right now you're trying to complete your fire team, then either Soldier 11 or Koleda, depending on if you need a stunner or you need an attacker. Now, if you already got Yanagi, you're looking for another character to pair with your Yanagi, then Grace is going to be where it comes in. So it really depends on who you ideally want and who you need. But if your account is fresh and new, I highly recommend Lycaon. Alright, he is going to be by far one of the better choice. If not, Rina, right? Rina is also going to be one of the better choice. I believe it's going to be way more flexible, right? So I still recommend Lycaon a little bit more over Rina, because Rina still, the M1 is going to be what restricts her, right? You ideally want to get that M1 if possible, but Lycaon is, you know, like they are not both far behind, right? So both are the best solid choice for new player if you can't decide on who to pick, especially both Rina and Lycaon's M1 going to be very, very good as well. So yeah, overall, this is just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think as a whole. At the end of the day, you know, I don't think you can go wrong with most of the characters, but I feel like Lycaon and Rina is going to be the one that you are still going to be using constantly in most Deadly Assault or Shield Defense, because these are like endgame characters that is still being used until today, right? They have higher usage rate compared to the rest of the characters. Alright, so with that being said, that's going to be it for this particular video. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, give this video a like. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna go record the other video talking about the W engine next. That's going to be the much more important one. With that, have a nice day. Goodbye.